Deputy Adams.
Concordia, Minister Alan Kelly said last night that the government is going to oppose this bill. He said it was flawed. He didn't tell us where or how it was flawed. He also dismissed Sinn Féin in his usual charming, persuasive way. He said that our tabling of this bill was opportunistic. The fact is that the only thing that is in fact flawed is Mr Kelly's attitude to the housing crisis in this state. Our position is straightforward. Sinn Féin believes that citizens have the right to a home. Now, the Minister says this would put a legal obligation on the state. And that's right. We think the state has a legal obligation to ensure that its citizen has a home. And it's interesting that the very same excuse you use that this would put a legal obligation, you use when you're defending putting money into the pockets of the elites, paying the top advisers, making sure those who have creamed off the people get the huge bonuses that they do. You say, oh, there's a legal obligation on us to do this. So we believe that citizens have the right to a home. This government does not believe that. This government believes in making things up as it goes along. And Minister Kelly is competing for the position of the very best minister in this government at making things up as he goes along. He also has a deep concern about his legacy. He actually told us that himself. He's also the minister who persists in saying the 20,000 NAMA units due to be built by 2020 should be sold on the private market rather than be used for social housing. NAMA is owned by the state. NAMA is owned by the citizens. But yet, these units will be built for the private sector. That's socialism, according to Comrade Kelly. Socialism a la Fine Gael. I want to deal briefly with the issue of rent regulation. In my own constituency of Louth, 1,571 people are in receipt of rent supplement. Rents in respect of three-bedroom homes in Louth are now averaging around €1,100, while the rent supplement limit for a family with 3 children is set at just €600. So square it, Minister. How do you live on that? Recent responses to parliamentary questions I have submitted show that just 55 applicants in Louth had their rent supplement increased. And that's in spite of the Taoiseach stating, and the Taoiseach does it nearly every week, that community welfare officers would be instructed to increase limits where not doing so may lead to homelessness. This government recently also scrapped any idea of introducing rent certainty. But the Minister had promised since the Labour Party conference in February that what we're looking for is a process whereby people can have some certainty as regards rent into the future while the housing supply is being dealt with. Later, the Minister's department briefed the media that his plans would involve landlords not being able to increase rent beyond the rise in the Consumer Price Index. But it's obvious that those who the Minister referred to, these Fine Gael ministers, maybe yourself, Minister, I don't know, as anonymous cards, and who briefed against rent certainty, have won the argument within the government. So the announced rent regulations are too little and too late. And for many tenants, the government's plans do not amount to a rent freeze, as has been claimed. There's no rent limit for new tenancies. And this is because the government has done nothing to limit increases, apart from harking back to existing regulations which have failed utterly. Increases in housing assistance payment rates in some counties, they are welcome, but without proper control on rent levels, this will not be enough. Tax breaks announced for landlords who already get large sums in rent supplement and rental accommodation scheme payments is not a solution. All the time driven by the profit motivation, driven by the market, making sure that unscrupulous landlords are able to get whatever cream there is at the top of the milk. So our bill, which you say is flawed, which you would say would lead to unforeseen consequences, the Rent Certainty and Prevention of Homelessness Bill put forward by Dr. Ellis does link, or would seek to link, rents to the rate of inflation and to limit rent increases over a period of time. What's wrong with that? Tell us what's wrong with that. That's what hard-pressed tenants at risk of homelessness require. We also seek to update the definition of homelessness and put an onus on local authorities to act in support of people facing homelessness. I met some young people from Ballyfermot at the rally last night. Minister, they have done more to address and to tackle the issue of homelessness than your government. But if the Dáil passes this legislation, and of course it won't, why would it? You throw shapes at this in the last month of the government. It would finally have done something constructive to tackle homelessness after years of passing measures that created the crisis in the first place. The government has said it will not do this. Shame on you, Minister. Shame on you. The next time you pass a person in a shop doorway, wrapped up in a sleeping bag or covered in cardboard, remember, your policy has him or her there.
Deputy Ellis.
Agus bhádlan buíochas a thabhairt do gach aine a thóg páirt on this bóireacht PMB show. I'd like to thank everyone across the board who took part in this debate. I think it was very important, even though I mightn't agree with people's opinions in this debate, I think it was extremely important. It was a bit hard to listen to the nonsense Minister Kelly had to share with us last night. To have this bill dismissed at second stage due to supposed flaws is hard to take from a member of government presiding over the mess of the Legal Services Bill in the Shannon. Pages of amendments being added one day only to be taken out the next. He is, of course, the minister who last week took a 3-year-old bill stuck in the Shannon and tacked